everyone, this is Faith at Faith and Books. How are you doing? This is an announcement video for a readathon or reading event that I came up with, and it's called There's No Place Like Rome, and it's about reading about Rome. So Rome was founded in 753 BC or BCE. I always have to look at the dates because they're not very easy to remember for me for some reason. Well, they're odd numbers, I think. Anyway, and then most historians attribute the year 476 AD or CE to its fall. So that's 753 BC to 476 AD. So anything that is about that time period, about the Roman influence, about the city of Rome or Roman influence from 753 BC to 476 AD, you can read about anything about it, like nonfiction, history, anything from it, because there's lots and lots of literature from the Romans, or anything set in that time period. So historical fiction would work, or say Julius Caesar by Shakespeare, that would work, that would count. So, and this readathon is going to go from 1st of March through April. So both March and April. And the reason why I thought that those 2 months would be appropriate are because the date March 15th, the Ides of March, and then the date April 21st, which is actually what the Romans considered the birthday of the city of Rome, the founding of Rome. So, and March was originally the very first month in the year for the Romans before they reformed their calendar. And it, March comes from the god Mars. So I thought that was appropriate to do. So I have 3 co-hosts, so I'll tell you how this all happened. I had this idea rolling around in my head, and it was partially inspired by Jennifer Brooks and me wanting to read Horace in the month of March. And so I reached out to Mark at Book Time with Elvis, because we've done buddy reads before, so I could Voxer him. And I asked him what he thought of the idea, and he liked it. And he is the one that gave it the name There's No Place Like Rome. So I have to give him credit for that. I thought that was a cute title. And he said he'd be a co-host. And then I reached out to the people on Discord that are doing Historathon, the Historathon Discord page. And somebody there, Matt from the channel Bask in the Story, he said that he would like to co-host. And so I was all excited about that. But then the bonus was that Mark asked Steve Donahue, and Steve Donahue said that he would co-host too. So those are my co-hosts. So I will link all their channels below. And I'm very excited about all this. So let me tell you why. First of all, I wanted to make it really flexible. So we're not having a group read. We were thinking about it, but we decided not to, because there's so many events going on in March that I know of. I don't know of many going on in April. I can't even think of one in April, but in March there's so much going on that I thought it would be better to make this very flexible. So here are some of the events that you could double up with if you wanted to also participate in There's No Place Like Rome. So for, let's see, where shall I start? So middle grade March is the one that I had been planning this year to really participate in. And there's a bunch of books set in ancient Rome that are middle grade. So this one is Detective in Togas by Henry Winterfeld. And I read this a long time ago to my kids. And then there's a sequel to it called Mystery of the Roman Ransom. This is so clever. It's really good. And it would double up with March Mystery Madness too, because this is a mystery. But this is a wonderful middle grade book that's set in Rome, in Roman times. This is a classic. Didn't this win the Newbery or something? The Bronze Bow. This is set in Judea, during the time of Christ, with the Roman soldiers. The Roman military figures prominently in this. And so this is a great book. I love this book. Then there's the classic series by Rosemary Sutcliffe, The Eagle of the Ninth. So this is in Roman Britain. This is a wonderful book, and I want to read the whole series by her. I haven't gotten around to it. And then here's another example. This is a retelling. This is, I guess, nonfiction, or maybe it's fictionalized. Caesar's Gallic War by Olivia Coolidge. This is a retelling of Julius Caesar's commentary on the Gallic Wars, and but it's told for middle schoolers. So that's another example. So you could definitely do middle grade March and participate in There's No Place Like Rome. For mysteries, for March Mystery Madness, you could do the Detective in Togas. And I Googled, I know there are other mysteries set during Roman times, but the one that I'm most familiar with are the series by Ruth Downey, and I'll put the names below. And I forget the name of the whole series. It's named after the main character, who's a military doctor. But the first one is Medicus. And then the other ones are all named with Latin phrases that we've incorporated into English. So Terra Incognita, Persona Non Grata, Caveat Emptor, Semper Fidelis. And she wrote more. I think I got some of them out of the library and some I read on my Kindle. But I really liked them. They were not too gory. I really thought that she really recreated the feeling of being in that time and in Roman Britain. They travel a bit too. I think they go to Gaul and they might go to Rome. And she wrote more after, because this was a few years ago. I think she's written a couple more since then. So I might try to read those for March Mystery Madness, and that, you know, and then it would overlap with my own project of There's No Place Like Rome. So I highly recommend this series. I really liked it. And there's a very gentle love story that's going on as well. The characters are really interesting. They're really well done. So I'll list that below. But that's an example of mysteries that's set in Roman time that you could read. So let's see, we got March Mystery Madness, middle grade March. Okay. Historathon. I'll link to the announcement video of Historathon. I'm doing Historathon, and right now I'm listening to SPQR, A History of Ancient Rome by Mary Beard. But I'm going to be finished with that, I hope, before March. So I'm going to plan to read other nonfiction also in March. But that's something you could read and participate in Historathon. Historathon is a whole year. You take the whole year and they divide it into 4 quarters. And the first quarter is January, February, March. And you're supposed to read something historical from prehistory through 500 AD, which would include Rome. So you could definitely read about Rome. I don't have a lot of recommendations except for what I happen to be reading right now, SPQR. I know some people are reading books by Tom Holland. He wrote one called Rubicon. There's a bunch of stuff out there. You could read biographies, you know, whatever. You could read about a particular topic and, I don't know, gladiators, or you could just read a general history, whatever. But that would qualify for Historathon. So because in March, you still have a chance to read something from that time period, prehistory to 500 AD. So you could also do Historathon with this. The We Love Jenny Readathon, which Christy Lewis just announced a few days ago to commemorate Jennifer Brooks, you could definitely read stuff. And you're supposed to read things that Jenny recommended or inspired you to try. So the thing that I'm doing, and I had already decided to do this before I even knew that she had passed away, is I'm reading Horace. So I'm going to read Horace in March. Horace was one of her favorite poets. The other thing that I might do for We Love Jenny, which would overlap with There's No Place Like Rome, is when Christy Lewis was making that announcement video, she said that she was reading the book, a biography of Paul by N.T. Wright, and that Jenny had recommended to her. And I might try to read that too, because I just finished reading the Acts of the Apostles, which also would qualify. Any New Testament is going to qualify because it was written during the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire figures heavily in it. But I'm going to try and read Paul by N.T. Wright as There's No Place Like Rome, and also the We Love Jenny Readathon. That would qualify for both. And then, so we got Historathon, We Love Jenny, March Mystery Madness, Middle Grade March, March of the Mammoths. So there's several things you could read for March of the Mammoths. I just brought a couple here in the car. But one, of course, is the City of God, which is all about Augustine contrasting Rome, the city of man, with the city of God, Christianity. And it's all, I mean, if you want to learn about Roman culture at the time, he wrote towards the end of the Roman Empire. This is chock full of that. So that would be a March of the Mammoth. Another one could be Josephus. Here we go. I have a very old copy that I bought at a used bookstore. This is truly daunting, but it's a mammoth. That could be another thing that would qualify. I didn't bring Plutarch's Lives, but that's pretty hefty, and that would qualify. And then there's always Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, which is like, I think if it's unabridged, it's 6 volumes or something. So that's definitely a mammoth. But on the other hand, if you didn't want to participate in any of these things, if you already had things planned and you only wanted to read a few things, or shorter things rather, you could read just a couple of Plutarch Lives. Or you could read something like this. I read this a couple years ago, Seneca on the Shortness of Life. It's just a little, I got through it pretty quickly. Or you could read just a speech by Cicero or something like that. That would qualify as well. So I think that being flexible means there's a lot of overlap, and I think it makes it easier. And I just want people to join in and have fun. So what we're planning to do, the co-hosts, and of course if you have a channel, you can do this too. We're putting up a video on March 1st with our own personal TBRs. I think that's the topic of that particular one, to kick it off. And then March 15th, we're putting up one. And April 21st, we're putting up videos. And then we're going to have a live stream at the end of April, whatever that last weekend is. I keep forgetting to look up what the dates are. We're going to have a live stream, and we haven't pinned down which day. Is it Saturday or Sunday and what time? But we have 3 months, so we'll be able to do it. We'll pin it down and let people know. And we're going to talk about what we've read, and we're going to have a quiz bowl, a trivia bowl on how much you know about Roman culture and history and mythology and that sort of thing. So I think this will be really interesting. I'm excited about it. I hope that you are interested too. If you don't have a YouTube channel, you could definitely comment, join in the live stream, talk about what you've read, and when we make our videos, comment on what you're reading and what you're learning about Roman history or Roman culture, and whether you knew a lot about it beforehand or if you're just learning or whatever, So I think this will be fun and interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I know my co-hosts were planning to put up videos at some point soon, maybe today, maybe in a few days. It'll be staggered a little bit. But I think this will be really fun and interesting. It's what I'm really into right now. So it feels very relevant to me right now. And I like that it can overlap. My plan is to read more history and Horace in March, and then more literature in April. That's my plan right now. It could change. Anyway, so I've talked long enough. So I hope you'll join us, and I will put all the links and stuff below. And happy reading.